Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Hagen-Botham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, City Current CEO, Jeremy Park.
Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Hagen-Botham. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And that's why we're excited to be talking about Memphis Allies. We're honored to have with us Susan Deason, Executive Director, and Carl Davis, Managing Director of Operations with Memphis Allies. How are you two doing?
Hey, Jeremy. Doing well. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, doing great. Excited to share the work of Memphis Allies for sure.
Well, you all are doing tremendous good when you talk about working to curb violence in our community and help those individuals most at risk. And so let's start with some history and context for Memphis Allies, because this was started by a very well-known nonprofit, Youth Villages. So Susan, give us some background, give us some history for Memphis Allies.
Yeah, Jeremy, in 2021, this was still in the midst of the pandemic. But as most of your listeners know, during the pandemic, nationally, violent crime increased across the country, but particularly here in Memphis, it rose to the degree that Memphis became the city with the second highest rate of gun violence in the country per capita. So with those staggering increases here locally and Youth Village's headquarters being located in Memphis, we couldn't stand on the sidelines and watch those numbers increase and not try to do something to make an impact. There are so many other community organizations here also striving to reduce gun violence. So when we launched our initiative, we named it Memphis Allies because we knew we would need trusted partners in the community to join us in this work. So Memphis Allies is, while launched by Youth Villages, a partnership of many nonprofit organizations who are assisting us in the goal of reducing gun violence in Memphis and Shelby County.
Let's go ahead and dive into the model, because just like you're alluding to, very collaborative approach with different organizations and entities, but also too focused on community violence intervention, CVI. So talk about the model.
Yeah, so I'll start by saying we did a lot of research before we created this model. That is something that Youth Villages does have a track record for in terms of building evidence-based programs. So our model is called SWITCH. It's evidence informed, and it stands for Support with Intention to Create Hope. What sets this apart from anything we've done before is the population of people that we seek to serve. We serve those at highest risk for involvement with gun violence. And I'm going to turn it over to my partner here, Carl, who leads all of our operations on the ground, to talk to you all more about who we serve, what does set them apart from other individuals we've served in the past, and where we're doing all of this work across the city.
Absolutely. So, yeah, as Susan mentioned, SWITCH stands for Support with Intention to Create Hope. And so it's based on 4 different model components. We have outreach specialists, we have life coaches, we have case managers, and we have clinical specialists. So we have a team of individuals that's working with the highest risk individuals when it comes to gun violence to help switch their mindset, so to speak. So like a play on words, with the model name. And so our goal is to target those who are at highest risk of involvement in gun violence, whether being a perpetrator or a victim. And so when we think of highest risk when it comes to gun violence, we think of those who are actively involved in a gang, clique, or crew. Someone who has been shot or shot at within the last 12 to 18 months, someone who has a family member or a close friend that's recently been shot within the last 12 to 18 months, someone who has already started accumulating some criminal justice history, specifically gun charges, and someone who may be out of work or not in school right now. And so those are some of the things that we assess for on the front end when we consider someone high risk. And not saying that you have to check all the boxes to be in the program, but just research and data shows that these are the people who are most likely driving the violence in the communities that violence spikes in. And so our outreach specialists are like our number one recruiter. And so our outreach specialist does a great job of identifying high-risk individuals, because for the most part, they are former high-risk individuals themselves. And so they are from the communities that we're serving. they are formerly affiliated, formerly incarcerated individuals. And so they still have those relationships within the communities to help, be an impact to draw those guys into the program. Once they have identified them, they enroll them and turn them over to what we call a life coach and a case manager and clinical specialist. And so our life coach has some similarly lived experiences as well. They're probably a little more polished than our outreach specialists, but they build a life plan with the individuals that we work with. And so they meet with them, they have contact with them daily. And so that's what kind of separates our work from a lot of work that's going on. So not only do they meet with them to talk about advances and goals weekly, but they have to have some sort of communication with these individuals daily. So it's not like a monthly check-in. It's life coaches really doing life with these individuals and contacting them several times a day, daily. And so, like I said, they build a life plan. They talk about what's their goals, what they're working on, and that can range from anything from housing to career, to school, to parenting, to transportation, like whatever that need is, they talk about their goal and talk about what it takes to meet that goal, what barriers are in the way of meeting those goals. And so that's something that we draw up on a life plan. We have case managers on the team who not only help with that individual, but the entire family dynamic. And so whether that's their parents, their siblings, if they have kids and things of that nature. We also have our clinical specialists, last but not least, but who often taps into that unaddressed trauma that causes a lot of the gun violence that we see. And so we serve kids and adults in the switch model. So we have switch and switch youth. And so we serve participants. Our participants range from the ages of 12 to 35. And so we have an intentional overlap at 17 to 18 years old, depending on family dynamics and things of that nature.
Talk about timing, talk about some of the things that, tie into capacity, because I'm thinking too, a lot of this, when you're talking about life changing, that takes a lot of, holistic approach, a lot of collaboration for all the different things that people are struggling with to get them on the path to, a thriving life, right? Where violence isn't in the picture. And so talk about timing in terms of going through the program, talk about capacity, talk about the collaboration and what it really takes to create this sort of transformation to help these individuals, the youth and the adults that you're serving.
Absolutely. So our program model is usually based on a 12 to 18 month period, right? But as we know, it's not always a straight line. Like you don't meet someone on day one and then 18 months down the line, surprise, I'm a new person. And so we definitely have different variables that play into place when it comes to timing. Like this is relationship work. Like if you don't have relationships with the people that we're serving, this work is in vain. And so it's going to take several weeks or even months to begin with before they even agree to program. And so because it's not a mandated type program. And so you have to build those relationships. So that's the key into our outreach specialists with, not only being from the communities we're serving, but living their lifestyle once upon a time to see, hey, this is what change actually looks like. And so just building their relationships on the front end that even convince someone to go through with the program. And just because you enter the program doesn't mean, okay, everything's fine now. No, you're going to have some setbacks and some stumbles. And so that's why we have that team approach, that network of individuals working with them, because they can tell their clinical specialist something that they may not feel comfortable telling their life coach or vice versa. And so I think that's the dynamic part of having that team collaboration and having all hands on deck when it comes to working with these individuals.
This is hard work. It's heart work. It's heartbreaking work sometimes. Talk about success, what it looks like, what you're seeing. You don't have to obviously name any names, but give us an idea of where this is headed and how it's going.
Yes, so 90% right now of the individuals that we've worked with have not received an additional gun charge while in services with us, which I think says a lot right there for the ability for this model to work. Now, that's compared to national recidivism rates, typically on average around 50%. So we feel good about our early indicators of success, but to your point, it is incredibly hard work. It's challenging work. And we have right now just over 200 staff members who are working on this initiative. the majority of those do have some kind of lived experience, as Carl already described, that really, I think, uniquely positions them to be able to help change somebody's mindset. One of the things that I wanted to add to the conversation is our model is support with intention to create hope. And I think hope is something that all of us in Memphis for sure, but across the state in areas where there's increasing violence, you want to have hope that something works. And I really wanted to point out that not only are we seeing those early successes, but also that in a given community, there's not a huge amount of individuals that fit the criteria Carl described. So when we say we want to target those at highest risk for gun violence, we think on any given day, that number might be around 600 individuals on the adult part of the spectrum who meet that criteria. And right now today, we're serving 537, both youth and adults. So we have a goal to scale our services across the city to be able to reach a target number that will actually move the needle in the next several years in significant reductions in violence. So I think that's part of what our audience would like to know is, does this really work? Yeah. And we know that some individuals will be arrested. Some individuals, unfortunately, will be killed. But our goal is to reach those who have the best opportunity to change their mindset and to deliver those services to them to reduce our overall homicide rate and violent crime.
Tie that into some of the specific goals, because you have very specific goals, just like you kind of alluded to, but how the community can help.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I believe right now there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 12,000, maybe more, nonprofit organizations doing work that supports our community. And many of those organizations have similar goals. They might not be directly trying to reduce violence, but they're trying to lift up our community. So as I mentioned, Memphis Allies is about partnerships. So one of the best ways individuals can help is to spread the word about what we do, because there are opportunities to partner and to directly work and mentor, directly work with and mentor our participants. We have partnerships with small nonprofits who come in and deliver curriculum and services to our participants, in addition to the staff that work directly with them. And so it's really a holistic approach and wrapping around services. But additionally, we want to continue to engage and support in neighborhood transformation efforts. So whether it's a neighborhood watch group or it's a neighborhood cleanup effort, we want to connect with individuals across the neighborhoods where we work and communities so that we can be a part of those activities and they can support our activities. So I will say right now, we are currently serving the Raleigh-Fraser, South Memphis, Orange Mound, Hickory Hill, and Whitehaven areas in the city. We will next fiscal year be moving into Binghamton and North Memphis. So these are the areas that are hardest hit by violence, but these are vibrant communities with many, many individuals and families who want to see their communities improved and transformed. So we need volunteers, and we need to know where high-risk individuals reside so our outreach teams can get out there and bring them into programming.
Carl, what would you add to that in terms of how the community can help your efforts? And then also, too, what gives you hope when you look and you see, firsthand what's taking place, the relationships being built, the hope that is possible for not only the individual served, but for our community at large? What gives you hope? So how can the community help, and what gives you hope?
Yeah, sure. So I believe the community can help by just being welcoming when we come in, because as a new initiative, people always are skeptical of what's going on. What are these people doing here? Are they just here for photo ops, things of that nature? But I think that's what's key into hiring people who are already from these communities. So it's not like these are unfamiliar faces. Like these are the same people that live around the corner. These are the same people you see at your local convenience store and things of that nature. And so what we do as an organization, so we have our outreach specialists have what we call pop-up events in different communities. And so not only are we trying to identify individuals, but these are events where we are trying to bring the community out, let them know that what's going on in these communities are not the norm. Like you shouldn't get numb and violence isn't the norm. So we want to show a good time. And so we bring bounce houses out and we bring food and music out. So come out and have a good time with Memphis Allies and let us know that what's going on in your community, so we can better assess and better assist with what's going on. So you can feel comfortable coming outside again, and kids can feel comfortable riding their bike down the streets and things of that nature. And so as far as what provides me hope is just the daily change that I see within our participants and just. You talked about success earlier. Like all of our success, unfortunately, is not in numbers and not in data. Like it's hard to calculate the shootings that didn't occur. You know what I'm saying? And so it's hard to kind of calculate when our participant is going through a crisis or when something happened and he felt like resorting back to his old ways, and he calls his life coach on Impact and says, "Hey, I'm about to do this." And that conversation along with his life coach or his clinical specialist kind of dialed that back. And so that's the type of things that give me hope when we have people who were ready to crash out in the instance when they first met us and just come in the program and then meet with these life coaches and meet with their case manager and clinical specialists. And now they're making that phone call to try to get talked down out of a situation where that wasn't the norm at first. And so just being able to have consistent communication with these guys and be transparent is things that provide the hope, that's needed in the city of Memphis.
So many cities across the U.S. are struggling with violence. So you look at just, sadly across the U.S., so many cities struggling with this same issue. What are maybe one or two words of encouragement for each of you for something learned? I think the collaborative approach, right? That's one big one that stands out, obviously. But what's something that you've learned that you would encourage others when you look at the model that you've built with Memphis Allies and how you can take these lessons and apply them to other cities? What's one or two lessons you would share or words of encouragement you would share?
For me, one word that sticks out that we kind of clam to here at Memphis Allies is relentlessness. Like you have to be relentless, no matter what it's looking like, because I know even personally myself, like someone who has experienced personally people losing their lives to gun violence. Like the more you get on social media or the more you watch the news, like it can be discouraging sometimes. But you have to, like, no matter how hard it gets and no matter how much negativity is pushed out there, you have to remember that one person that you're impacting or those two or three people, and just being relentless and not giving up, because so many times, especially the population that we're working with, like they've been through programs, they've been through incarceration, they've been through a lot of things, and people, give up on them. And so you have to, even when it seems heavy, even when it seems dark, even when it seems like it's not working, be relentless and show up for the people that no one else is showing up for.
Yeah, I would echo that, and also say that through this journey and creating these models, we've met friends and national partners across the country who are also doing this work, and some of them have been doing this for decades. And so I think, if you're from a different community and you're hearing this, you need to know that we're reaching out to those partners and they're reaching out to us. So I think the collaboration isn't just with the local partners, although that's essential, but also learning from each other. What does work in other areas, and supporting each other, because violence is unfortunately not isolated to one area. And so I think we've learned a lot from others and have really learned the meaning of the allies part of our name.
Yeah, very well said. Wrap up with where we can go to learn more and connect in with Memphis Allies. So website, social media, phone number, perhaps. Where do we go to learn more and get involved?
Yes, you can find out the most about us by going to our website at memphisallies.org. There's also a phone line where you can receive a call back within 24 hours, and that's 901-252-7900. And You can also check out Youth Village's website for information about our parent organization, but we are available to answer the call night or day.
Well, Susan, Carl, thank you for all you and your amazing team do to power the good. Thank you for coming on the show.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thanks for having us.
Higginbotham Insurance and Financial Services is proud to power the City Current Show. We're a people-first company that protects what matters most, the families, businesses, and trailblazers that keep our community going. As one of the nation's top independent insurance firms, Higginbotham is a single-source solution for business insurance, employee benefits, HR services, and personal insurance that's customized for you. We're here to serve you, the people you care about, and your community. Call 866-377-1959 or visit higginbotham.com.